This is a weighted strength session for your bottom, your gluteal muscles. So I'm going to use 12 kilos today. You can pick a weight where you feel the repetitions that I'm giving you. So when you get to the top repetition, it should feel like, yeah, that's the last one, and then you know you're at your correct weight. If you're pregnant or you're postnatal and using your baby as your own weight, you already have your weight with you. You may not need to add on anything extra, so just bear that in mind. So I'm going to start with a mini loop around my legs just for some extra oomph, but you don't have to use it. You can just go normal body weight. And we're going to start with an activation. So I'm lying on my right hand side. I'm up on my elbow, checking that my elbow, my bum and my knees are all in one straight line. Keeping my heels together, I'm going to roll my top knee open. So we're firing up into the stabilizers into the top hip, whilst also working on the ones in the bottom hip. It's not a good sign when my bottom starts shaking already. And if you haven't got resistance, really focus on the range. How much movement can I go? You want to try and keep lifted through your bottom arm so that your waist, your obliques are all working. And then the first change, you're now going to lift that leg off of the underneath leg. So try not to dip your waist, keep lifted. I really want to sink down to the floor, but I'm holding my waist up, stopping that from happening. Lift the leg, lower, lift, lower. You're going to try and aim for roughly 30 seconds of each exercise. And the idea is that we wake all these muscles up that we're about to use, we're about to challenge with the resistance. Okay, so next change, we're going to hold the leg up and we're going to clam from here. So it's the same as the first exercise, but now the feet are apart. So the leg is floating up and in the air, and you're rolling even more through your hip socket. Keep that leg hovered. Try not to let the rest of the body move. And if you can sync your breathing, you want to breathe out to twist, because that's going to wake up your abs. One more. Okay, next one with the leg lifted, you're just going to nudge that leg in towards you. You're going to take that leg back behind you. Like the leg is sliding forwards and backwards across the ground. Forwards and backwards. The rest of your body should be dead still. You're locking in your core here. So you need a strong tummy, strong back to lift our weights. And if we just set it up in a good position, we don't let it move around, then you can trust that it's active and switched on. Last one. Forwards, backwards, you're nearly there. Now from this side, we're going to use both legs to lift our hips up into a little side bend. And then we're going to come back down. So both glutes are working into this active side bend. As well as your shoulder, that's going to help you carry the load. As well as your obliques, all the muscles at your waist. 3 more. And then we're going to hold it up here in our little side plank, and we're going to clam from this position. So in your last 30 seconds on this side, roll forwards to take the load out of your shoulder and put it more into your tummy. Squeeze your heels together and push that top knee open. And open, roll through your hips. For 3, 2, 1, straight into the other side. So changing ends of your mat or just rolling over, line up so your knees, your hips and your shoulder are all in one straight line. Lift up away from the floor. And when you're ready, we're going to climb from there. Heels stay together. It's like a little Charlie Chaplin where your toes and your knees can come apart. It's like you're screwing your thigh bone into the socket. Turning your knee to point at the sky and then back down. As though there was a paintbrush strapped to your thigh, you were drawing a straight line up and down that wall. Okay, first change, are we ready? Top leg lift and lower, and lift and lower. Try not to drop your waist, stay lifted. And if you've got that band around your legs, really push into that resistance. As you press up and the band pulls tighter, it's going to feel harder. If you don't have a mini loop, you can always tie a resistance band around, but as I say, you definitely don't need one. Ready? Hold the leg up, open chain clam, the knee goes down, the knee goes open. Roll through your hip socket. Roll open, roll closed, roll open, roll closed. Like you're screwing your thigh bone into the socket. Breathe out to twist, breathe in, release. Keep your frame, lift your waist up. Try not to move the rest of your body. That's where you know your core is on and working hard. Now with your knee facing front, we're going to side kick forwards and back, trying not to move your body. One way of checking in on that is taking your top hand up and seeing if you're waving or flapping that arm around. Try and keep it as still as possible. It's like you're lying on a pressure mat, right? And the pressure between your body and the floor shouldn't change because you're just moving your hip socket forwards and back. This is a good preparation for running as well, waking up the muscles through the leg to give you stability on one side. Last one, legs together. Now from here, we're gonna lift up, stretch through that top side, come back down. Squeeze your legs together, lift and lower. Both glutes working, as well as your shoulder and your waist. How high up off the mat can you go? Ready? We're gonna hold the next one up, and from here we're gonna clam. So roll open through your hip, knees moving apart, stay up and off of the mat. Press your heels together, maybe even turn your toes open if you can, so you get this real swivel through the hip. We've got 10 seconds to go. Keep lifted, strong through your shoulder. 3, 2, 1. Good work. Lose the bands. So we're going to go nice and quick now into our strength while those muscles are warm and awake. I've got 3 strength exercises for you, and we're going to superset them. So that means our break is the next exercise. We're going to jumble them together with very little rest time, so we get the most out of the time that you've got. So now's the time to grab a drink of water, grab your weight, and get set up. We've got 4 rounds, and to keep it nice and simple, we're going to do 10 of each exercise. So the first exercise, we're going to do a sumo squat. So with your weight, carefully bring it underneath your body and line yourself up with your knees and your feet wide and pointing outwards. As you dip down, you should be able to grasp the weight without bending your back. So your back should be flat. And we're going to start with 10 from here. As you lift the weight up, can you give me a pelvic floor lift? Like you're closing the elevator doors. And from there, you're going to breathe out, stand up, breath in, come down. Breath out, stand up, breath in, come down. And again. Breath in, come down. And you go all the way to 10. Keep that movement going. Use your out breath. Last 2. And then we're going to go into a single leg activation. A single leg strength. So with one leg up behind you, you're going to bend from your hip, bring the weight out in front of you. You want to try and keep your back as flat as possible. You're driving all up through the weight-bearing legs. The back leg doesn't have much weight on it at all. Grasp the weight, bring it next to your knee. Breathing out, press up to stand. Breathe in, lower the weight down to the floor, bending the front knee. So you rise up and down from the hip, trying to keep your knees pointing straight ahead. And whilst I'm leaning forwards, that's what's going to really wake my bottom up. I'm trying hard not to bend my back, so your back should stay straight. Last 2. And we're going to change. So you want to be reaching that leg good way behind you so that you open up your hip. So I'm really having to stretch open my left hip. And then as you bend, you've got to bring your body weight down. Breathe out, rise up. Breath in, bend. Breath out to rise up. And you should feel it from the very beginning in your weight-bearing bottom. And if you need to reset at all, that's totally fine. Pause whenever you need to. Count through your 10. Remember, we've got 4 chances. So we build that volume up. Last one. And then your last exercise is the hip thrust against a chair or sofa. So you want to position yourself near something that ideally won't move, and you can use your hands to help get your shoulders up onto that chair or sofa before you bring the weight onto your hips. Now again, the axis is the bottom. That's what we're trying to move and work. So you want to bend through your hips and then push your hips to the sky. Lower your bottom to the ground. Breathe out, push your hips to the sky. If you've got 2 small weights, they can balance in your hip creases. If you've got 1 big weight, just be careful it's not too sore on your pubic bone. You can also do this quite well with bar as well across your hips. Last 2. 1. And release. So that's your first round. 1 of 4. So if you take a short break now, so we're going to go 30 seconds maximum. So you're breathing down, grab a drink of water. We're going to go through that again. So it's often a good idea to go up your weights to keep that intensity. If that felt quite easy when we got to the 10th repetition, then you definitely want to increase your weight a little bit. If you're struggling at that 10th one, maybe come down a touch. But maybe that felt just right and you're going to stay where you are. Okay, here we go. So sumo squats. Weight in the middle. You're going to bend both knees. Keeping your knees wrapped open, your back flat, look forwards, breathe out, stand. Breath in, lower down. You can see if you can close and lift pelvic floor every time. And push up from your legs, dig your heels into the ground. 1 more. Well done. And then we're going to come into this split squat with 1 leg up and behind. And you're going to squat down on the front leg, lower the weight down the inside of the shin, and then stand back up. Leaning forwards to load that front leg. So there's really not very much in the back leg at all. Blow out as you drive up. Cheating a bit here because I've got the wall, so it really makes me want to use it. 2 more. Find your depth that you can go without bending your back. Okay, changing legs. So the back leg comes up onto the chair. Keeping your back flat, you're going to bend down and rise up. Again, driving through your heel, so you're not tempted to dig your toes into the ground or overuse your thigh. Press your heel in to make the back line work more. Hold your balance, keep your knee pointing forwards. Neck long, looking up. Last 2. Ooh. And 1. And then into our hip thruster. So using your hands to help you into position. Shoulders onto the chair, weight onto your hips, and then from the hips you drop, you lift. I'm going to squeeze my legs together, work up through the inner thigh. Depending on how high your sofa, your cushion, your chair is, it's how low you're going to get your bum to the ground. Really hinge from your hips, like your hips are the spine of a book. You're closing the book, opening the book. 2 more, close, open. 1 more, close, open, and release. Weight comes down. You're halfway through, ready for our 3rd set. So take your recovery, slow down the heart rate again. Just want you to go 30 seconds. So it's not too long. Enough to kind of get your head in the game, ready to go round. 2 more times, 1 more break in between. Let's start to position ourselves now above our weight for our sumos. And we're going to bend our knees wide, grasp the weight. You ready to start? Looking forwards, pelvic floor lift, stand up tall. Breath in, come down. Breath out, rise up. Breath in, come down. You might find that some of these exercises you can go up the weights. Whereas some, like the split squat, you might want to go down the weight because that's more on single leg. But here you've got two big powerhouses working together. So it might feel like you can increase that weight a little bit. Go for it. And if you haven't got any more weight, maybe what about the reps? So that instead of stopping at 10, stop at the point where you go, yeah, really feeling that now. One more for me. And changing. Okay, so one leg back, balanced on the chair. I've got a mark on my tiles here where I know where that tile ends. That's where I want the toes of my foot. With that back leg reaching far out behind me. I focus on my balance on this round. Using my out breath to lift me up. So that's going to pull my belly in, protect my back. Remind me not to bend my spine. 3 more. These are the hardest ones for me for sure. And change. So getting your balance, reaching that leg back behind you, but feeling okay when you've got there, so you've got some support, and you're going to bend that front knee and stand up tall. Sit down on the front hip and stand. Breath in, sit. Breath out, stand. Definitely starting to get wobblier. I'm trying to keep my head stacked on top of my spine. So I'm trying not to let my head fall forwards, keeping my chin tucked. Last 3, 2, and 1. Hip thruster. Straight in without a break if you can. You break after this. So shoulders up on the edge of the chair. Weight in your hip crease. Bend from your hips, lift from your hips. Make sure it's your bottom doing that lifting. Keeping your spine as straight as possible. You just got that angle at your hips. Increasing, opening. Closing it down, open it up. Last 3, 2, 1. Weight comes down, catch your breath, have a drink. Last time through. So with these weighted workouts, you can go straight on from this glute one to maybe even to a legs one, abs, upper body, or you can just keep this as the workout you're going to do today and then try the others later in the week. So to build our strength, we're looking for 3 to 5 times a week of a strength building exercise. Because I'm going to try and keep them as short as possible. You can maybe even tie it onto a bit of cardio as well, so you get your complete workout. Okay, now from standing last time through and you're done. So coming down over your weight in your sumo, grasp the weight with 2 hands, breathe out, stand up tall. Breath in, come back down. Breath out, stand up tall. Breath in, come back down. This one feels a bit light relief compared to those split squats, hey? Three more. And change. Getting your balance, make sure that stride is long, don't shorten that stride. Bring the shoulder back and then sit down on the front leg. Stand up on the front leg. Push the bottom back. So I'm watching that my knee doesn't come too far forwards so that my weight stays in the back of the joint, in my bottom where I want it to work. Hold your balance. Everything that we worked on at the beginning, that's involved here to keep you steady on one leg. 3, should be feeling it. 2, 1, breathe deeply. You are so near the end now. Good thing about this is you can pause me if you need. But try and keep going. Body stays straight. Bend from the hips, sit down, stand up tall. I'm going to watch that and my knee isn't going over my toe. My knee still stays back from my toe. And we're trying to get that weight as close down to the ground as we can before we have to bend our spine. Last two. One more. I'm going to take you through hip thrusters to finish. So shoulders on the edge of your chair or bench, weight on your hips. Off we go. Drop from the hips, push up from the hips. Drop, push up. So nice, slow and steady one. I'm just keeping a hand on my weight to make sure it doesn't roll around. You might feel very balanced, in which case you can put your head back and your arms up. Just because that's a little bit heavy, I don't want it to flip, so I'm just keeping a hand on it. 4, 3, complete that range, push your bottom up at the top, 2, 1, give me a little pause, and release, come back down. Good work, guys. Make sure you refuel and rehydrate. I'll see you soon.